Step away from the register, Emily. Empty your pockets. The scanner lights kept blinking as customers turned. Marcus held up the till report. $243.18, missing from your drawer. Emily's face drained. I didn't take anything. Then prove it. Open your bag. Her hand shook over the zipper. If you refuse, I call the police, and theft goes on your employment record. She looked at the camera, then at the floor. Marcus reached for his phone. A man at the back of the line spoke. You're reading the data wrong. 10 minutes earlier, Daniel Reed stood beneath the grocery store awning. He checked his bank balance once. $28.64. Then he locked the screen before Mia could see it. She was 8, wearing a purple coat and sneakers that had begun to separate at the toes. She bounced on her heels to stay warm. Are we late? She asked. Not yet. Daniel looked through the glass doors at the clock above customer service. His interview was across town at 6. No benefits, no guarantees, but it was the first call he had received in 12 days. He had 43 minutes. Mia held up a folded sheet of coupons. Treasure map? Daniel smiled. Official treasure map. The doors opened. Warm air carried the smell of bread and floor cleaner. They took the smallest cart. Daniel placed the coupons in the child's seat and pushed toward the back aisle. Pasta, sauce, eggs, milk, if the price worked. No snacks, no juice, nothing that could not become 2 meals. At the meat case he found a package of ground beef marked down by $2. He held it for a moment, checked the sell-by date, then looked at the price. $7.98. He put it back. Mia pretended not to notice. Daniel moved to the next shelf and chose 2 cans of beans instead. Beans are treasure? She asked. High-level treasure. They look like cans. That is how they hide. Mia nodded seriously and placed them in the cart. At the pasta aisle, Daniel compared 3 boxes by weight, not package size. One brand advertised a family value. Another was 12 cents cheaper, but held 4 fewer ounces. He chose the plain box. His lips moved as he added, $1.49. He slid a coupon behind his thumb. Mia reached for a bright blue box of macaroni shaped like stars. She looked at Daniel, then at the price tag. He did not say no. She returned it herself. Daniel paused. You sure? We already found high-level beans. He touched the hood of her coat. Good strategy. They kept moving. At the dairy case, a yellow discount sticker covered part of the milk label. Daniel checked the date, then the store code printed beneath it. The markdown had been entered at 3:42 p.m. The shelf tag still showed the original price. His eyes stayed on it a second longer than necessary. Across the aisle, a register monitor flashed red, reset, then returned to green. He always noticed systems. He had learned long ago that small errors rarely stayed small. Product codes that skipped a digit, time stamps that arrived out of order, screens that froze half a second before they failed. Once people had paid him to notice. Now he was wearing his only clean button-down beneath a winter coat with a broken zipper, counting coins through the fabric of his pocket. Mia held up a bruised apple from the reduced produce bin. Treasure. Daniel examined it. One bad side, so we eat the good side. He placed 4 apples in a bag. Near the front of the store, a woman in a grey wool coat stood beside her nearly empty cart. A loaf of bread, a tin of tea, nothing else. She was perhaps in her late 50s. No jewellery, no makeup Daniel could see. Her silver-streaked hair was damp from the rain. She watched the checkout lanes without appearing impatient. Mia leaned closer. Do we have enough? Daniel looked at the cart, then at the clock. 32 minutes. He counted again. We have enough for dinner and breakfast. He picked up the eggs. For breakfast, too. He said it lightly. Then he pushed the cart toward the shortest line. Lane 6 had only 2 customers. Daniel guided the cart behind the woman in the grey coat, but she stepped aside. You have a child. Go ahead. Daniel thanked her. The cashier's name tag read Emily. She looked 23, with tired eyes and dark hair tucked beneath a store cap. "Find everything?" she asked. "Most of it." Emily scanned the pasta, beans, and apples. Mia placed each coupon on the counter like playing cards. "This one is for eggs, this one is for milk, this one might be expired, but we brought it for emotional support." Emily checked the date. "Your emotional support coupon still works." Mia smiled. Daniel watched the total rise, $9. $14.19. Emily scanned the milk. The original price appeared instead of the yellow markdown. Before Daniel spoke, she turned the carton and checked the sticker. "This should be $1.80 less." She entered the printed code. The register rejected it. A message appeared, then vanished. Emily lifted the store flyer beside her register. "Today's dairy markdown uses the weekly ad code," she said quietly, "not the shelf code." She entered it. The price dropped. Daniel nodded. "Thank you, it's advertised. You're supposed to get it. No pity. No favor. Just the right price." Emily scanned the eggs and sauce. The total stopped at $27.90. Then Mia placed a bag of clementines on the belt. Daniel had not seen her add them. Emily scanned it, $32.41. Daniel's hand stopped inside his coat. Mia stared at the total. "I thought they were on the map." "They were," Daniel said. "I read the sign wrong." He reached for the bag. Emily turned the display away from the customers. "No problem. I can remove them." She pressed void item. The screen froze. A circle turned twice. Then a yellow box appeared. "Pending authorization." Emily frowned and pressed confirm. Nothing. Across the lanes, a man in a white shirt and dark tie looked over. His badge read Marcus, store manager. Emily waited 3 seconds and pressed confirm again. The warning vanished. The clementines disappeared from the total. $27.90. There we go. Marcus checked his watch, then the line, as if the lost seconds belonged to him. Daniel handed Emily $28. She counted 10 cents into his palm. 1 coin. He closed his fingers around it. Mia bent for a coupon. Her left glove fell beside the register. Emily picked it up. The cord joining the pair had torn from the cuff. "It keeps escaping," Mia said. Emily opened a drawer, found a paperclip, and bent it through the fabric. Temporary repair. How temporary? Emily tested the cord, long enough to become someone else's problem. Mia laughed. Behind them, the grey-coated woman placed a loaf of bread on the belt. Her cart held only bread and a tin of tea. She watched Emily return the glove, not Daniel's coat, not his worn shoes, the glove. Daniel gathered the groceries. Receipt almost refused. Mia raised her hand. "Yes, please. We keep score." Emily printed it. Mia folded the paper. 1 point for every treasure, she explained. "Then you did well." Daniel glanced at the receipt before Mia tucked it into her pocket. Transaction number, register 6. 5:17 p.m. Below the total sat the removed item, void approved. A second line flashed on Emily's screen and disappeared. Daniel looked up. The register clock changed to 5:18. Marcus was walking toward them. "Emily," he said, "why was this lane stopped?" "Void authorization lagged." "Again?" "Only a few seconds." "A few seconds comes a line." He touched her monitor, then walked toward the terminal beside customer service. Emily breathed out. Daniel lifted the bag. Mia held up her repaired glove. Still attached. For now. They stepped away. Behind them, Emily scanned the woman's bread. The machine gave one warning tone. Daniel had taken 3 steps when the warning sounded again. This time it did not stop. Emily looked at the screen. The color left her face. Marcus turned from customer service. "What is it?" "Register variance alert." "How much?" She hesitated. Marcus came behind the counter and read it himself. $243.18. The customers nearest lane 6 stopped moving. Daniel looked toward the doors. Rain pressed against the glass. The clock read 5:19. His interview was 26 minutes away. Marcus locked the drawer. Lane 6 is closed. Please use another checkout. The woman in the grey coat stayed where she was. Her bread remained on the belt. Emily lowered her voice. The drawer has not been counted. The system counted the variance. It is a live estimate. It is $243. Marcus turned the register name plate face down. Step away from the till. Emily obeyed. People in the next line looked over. One man raised his phone. "Can we do this in the office?" she asked. "No. The register remains in view until security arrives." The word sounded procedural. That made them worse. Emily glanced at the camera. "Check the footage." "We will. Print the final till report." "We will do that too. Before you accuse me." Marcus looked at her as if the order did not matter. Numbers do not lie. Daniel shifted the grocery bag. Mia touched his sleeve. Marcus took a form from beneath the service desk and placed it beside a pen. "Acknowledge the shortage." Emily read it. "It says I accept responsibility. It says the shortage occurred on your drawer. It says employee funds may be used for restitution." Standard language. Her fingers tightened around her apron. "I did not take anything. No one said you did. You called security. Company property is missing." His voice never rose. "You were the only employee assigned to this drawer after noon. You opened it during my break. To approve a return, Kevin used it when his register froze under your login, because you told me to let him." Marcus pushed the pen closer. "Then you should have logged out." Emily unclipped her name tag and held it in her palm. "This is not your first discrepancy," Marcus said. "Last month was 72 cents. It was still a discrepancy. You found the coin under the drawer. After the report closed, he said it toward the customers. A history, a pattern, a reason to believe him." Emily saw it too. Her hand began to shake. Marcus lowered his voice. "Sign now, and the record shows cooperation. Refuse, and I call the police before security arrives. A theft investigation follows you to your next employer." The pen lay between them. Daniel checked his phone. 5:20. He could still leave. The bus stop was half a block away. If the bus came on time, he might reach the interview. Mia watched Emily. "Dad," she whispered. Daniel did not answer. Why does he get to call her a thief before he checks? He did not use that word. Mia looked at the form. He put it on the paper. Daniel followed her eyes. 3 phrases were printed in the bold: unexplained cash loss, employee responsibility, possible misappropriation. Marcus uncapped the pen. The grey-coated woman moved 1 step left. From there she could see both screens. She said nothing. Daniel noticed the receipt above Mia's coat zipper and pulled it free. Register 6. Transaction 41,872.5. 17 p.m. Void approved. Marcus pointed to the variance report. "Alert generated at 5:16, he said. Before this customer's sale finished, Daniel read the receipt again. The void had been approved at 5:17. The register clock had changed to 5:18 only after Emily pressed confirm twice. The times were not merely different, they were in the wrong order. Emily picked up the pen. Daniel looked at the clock, then at the receipt. One delay might cost him a job. Her signature might cost her every job that came after. The bus could leave without him. The paper could follow her for years. Daniel stepped away from the aisle before Emily's pen touched the paper. "Do not make her sign that." Marcus turned. For the first time he looked at Daniel, the worn coat, the grocery bag with store-brand pasta, the 10-cent coin still pressed into his palm. "This is an employee matter," Marcus said. "It became public when you put the form on the counter." Emily set the pen down. Marcus glanced at her, then back at Daniel. "She gave you a discount. I understand why you feel grateful. She applied the price in your advertisement. Either way, you are a customer." Daniel held up the receipt, then answer a customer's question. Marcus folded his arms. Daniel kept his voice level. "What time did the shortage register? You heard me." 5:16. Was this terminal online at 5:16, or was it running delayed synchronization? Marcus blinked once. "That is not relevant. It is the difference between money missing from a drawer and data waiting to reach a server. A few customers moved closer. The man with the phone began recording. Marcus noticed. Daniel pointed toward the report without approaching the counter. Is that screen showing completed transactions, or does it include pending transactions? Marcus's jaw tightened. You do not have authorization to view company systems lists. I am not asking to touch it. You are asking questions about information that does not concern you. It concerns the woman you are asking to confess. Marcus placed one hand over the report. Daniel did not raise his voice. What time did the shortage register? I answered that. Online or delayed sync? Marcus said nothing, completed or pending. The silence lasted 2 seconds. It was enough. For the first time, Marcus no longer looked like the only person who understood the screen. Daniel unfolded the receipt and placed it on the edge of the counter. Transaction 41,872. Register 6, the sale closed at 5:17. Marcus barely looked at it. The alert was generated at 5:16. That is the problem. No, that proves the shortage existed before your purchase. Daniel tapped the void line. This item was removed during my purchase. Your system says the void was approved at 5:17, but her terminal remained locked in authorization until 5:18. Marcus shook his head. Receipt clocks and terminal clocks do not always match. Then you cannot use one clock to accuse her and dismiss the other when it contradicts you. The grey-coated woman watched Daniel's hand. It did not shake. His phone did. The vibration was loud against the quiet counter. Daniel pulled it from his pocket. Harbour Inventory Services. The interview. 5:22. Mia read the name on the screen. She looked at him, but said nothing. Marcus saw it too. You should take that. The words sounded almost generous. Daniel knew what they meant. Leave now. Let the form be signed. Protect the small chance, still waiting across town. The phone continued to vibrate. Daniel had already missed one call from the recruiter that morning. They had warned him the hiring manager had little time. He pressed decline. The screen went dark. Mia reached into her pocket and handed him the receipt again, though it was already in his hand. Her fingers closed over its corner for a moment. Then she let go. The woman in grey noticed that too. Marcus exhaled through his nose. You just refused a call for something you do not understand. Daniel looked at the report. I understand enough to know your number may be accurate and your timing may be wrong. A shortage is a shortage. No, Daniel folded the receipt along the printed line. A number can be right and still tell the wrong story. Marcus looked toward the approaching security guard. Daniel did not move. Open the transaction history, he said, or explain to everyone here why you are afraid to check it. The security guard stopped beside Marcus. 2 customers were recording now. Marcus looked from the phones to the grey-coated woman, then back to Daniel. This will take 1 minute, he said. He turned the customer service monitor toward himself and entered a supervisor code. Daniel stayed where he was. Open the transaction history for Register 6. Marcus gave him a cold look. You do not give instructions here. Then have Emily open it. She is under review. Use your own hands. The man recording shifted closer. Marcus clicked transaction detail. A list filled the screen. Filter from noon to now. Marcus hesitated, then selected the range. Rows appeared in green, white, and yellow. Daniel pointed without crossing the line behind the register. Find transaction 41,872. Emily read the screen. There are 2. Marcus leaned forward. One entry showed the sale completed at 5:17:9. The second carried the same transaction number, the same register, and the same item list. Its status was different, pending cash refund. Emily stared at it. I never issued a refund. Daniel looked at Marcus. She did not. The void request was sent twice. Marcus shook his head. Duplicate display records happen. Open both. Marcus clicked the first entry. Void approved. Cardless sale. Cash tendered 28. He opened the second. The record showed the clementines removed, then converted into a cash refund request when the authorization timed out. Amount 4.51. Marcus sat back slightly. That does not explain $243. No, Daniel said. It explains how the total was built. He nodded toward the yellow rows, sort by status. Marcus did. 7 pending records moved together. A cancelled detergent purchase. 2 customer returns. Daniel's void. 3 delayed cash adjustments. Emily read the amounts aloud. $38, $62.15, $21.40, $4.51, $47.80, $59, $200, $43.18. No one spoke. The amount Marcus had called stolen money was the exact sum of transactions not finished processing. Marcus recovered first. Pending does not mean invalid. It also does not mean cash is missing. The system generated a variance. The summary screen generated one. Daniel pointed to the timestamp column. Now show when each pending record began. Marcus opened the detail panel. The earliest was 11:46 a.m. Emily looked at her schedule posted beside the drawer. My shift started at noon. Daniel nodded. One record existed 14 minutes before she logged in. Marcus's face hardened. Someone may have used her credentials. Her login did not exist at 11:46. The guard glanced at Marcus. Daniel continued. Print the raw till report. The summary is the till report. No. The summary combines completed cash movement with pending server events. Print the draw count, tender log, and synchronization queue separately. Marcus stared at him. How do you know that? Daniel did not answer. Print them. Marcus selected 3 reports. The printer began feeding paper. Emily picked them up, only after Marcus nodded. Daniel asked her to read the draw total. She found the line. Expected cash, $412.60. Counted cash, $412.60. Emily read the line again. There was no missing cash, not $243, not $1, not 1 cent. Marcus took the pages from her. His eyes moved quickly. The alert still appeared on her terminal. After the duplicate records entered the queue, she should have reported the delay. Daniel looked at the clock. You closed her lane before the system created the final alert. Marcus opened his mouth. Daniel finished quietly. She could not report a warning that did not exist until after you stopped her. Emily's shoulders dropped, but Marcus held up one hand. This only clears the immediate cash count. She remains suspended pending internal review. The relief on Emily's face stopped halfway. Daniel looked at the duplicate transaction. The error had cleared her name. Marcus still wanted her gone. That meant the screen was no longer the only problem. Marcus folded the raw reports together. This discussion is over. He looked at the security guard. Remove him from the store. He is interfering with operations. The guard shifted toward Daniel. Mia moved closer to her father. Daniel put one hand behind her shoulder. I'm leaving. Keep the reports. Marcus reached for the register controls. Close the session, he told Emily. Do not close it. The voice came from behind the grocery belt. The woman in the grey coat had not raised it. She simply placed her bread beside the tin of tea and looked at Marcus. He frowned. Ma'am, this is an internal matter. I heard you. Then please use another register. No. The guard stopped. Marcus lowered his voice. The way people do when speaking to someone they expect to confuse. The session contains private information. It has to be secured. Secured is not erased. No one said erased. You reached for the close session command before preserving the synchronization queue. Marcus's hand left the keyboard. The woman looked at Emily. Do not touch the terminal. Emily nodded. Marcus gave a small smile. I appreciate your concern, but you do not understand our reporting process. The woman removed glasses from her coat pocket. Who is your regional supervisor? That information is not available to customers. Is it still Victor Lang? Marcus' smile disappeared. Daniel looked at her. Marcus straightened. How do you know Mr. Lang? Call him. I am not calling a regional director because a shopper objects to a routine suspension. Then call corporate security. We already have store security. Corporate. The guard looked down at his badge. Marcus stepped between the woman and the screen. Ma'am, move away from the counter. She opened her wallet. No gold card, no dramatic seal. Only a white identification card with a blue North Star mark in one corner. Marcus read the name. His fingers tightened around Emily's unsigned form. Evelyn Brooks, Chief Executive Officer. For a moment, nothing changed. The scanners kept beeping. Rain struck the windows. Then Marcus lowered the paper. Ms. Brooks. His voice had changed. Evelyn put the card away. I visit stores without notice. That only works when people do not know who I am. Marcus moved the disciplinary form behind the monitor. Evelyn watched him. Put it back. He did. She turned to the security guard. No one is being removed. Then to Emily. You will not sign that document. Then to Marcus. Preserve the register session, synchronization queue, camera footage, till reports, and every access log connected to lane 6. Marcus swallowed. Of course. Do not say of course. Confirm each action. I will preserve the session. And the footage? Yes. And the access logs? Yes. Evelyn looked at the reports. All discipline is suspended, not reversed. Suspended until an independent review determines what happened. Marcus nodded. I understand. No. You understand that I am here. We will learn whether you understood the system. She asked Emily to remain near the counter. She asked the guard to keep everyone away from the terminal. She did not praise Daniel. She did not offer him money. She looked at him as if the receipt had confirmed something she already suspected. You missed your interview, she said. Daniel's expression hardened. How do you know that? I saw the call. That is not what I meant. Evelyn held his gaze. Mia looked from her father to Evelyn. Then she spoke his full name. Daniel Reed, we need to talk. The employee break room was small. A round table, 4 plastic chairs, a vending machine humming beside a board covered with shift changes. Evelyn asked Daniel and Emily to sit. Marcus remained outside with corporate security on speakerphone. Daniel kept one hand on Mia's shoulder. She stays with me. Evelyn pulled out a chair. She stays. Mia sat beside her father and placed the folded receipt on the table. Emily still held her name tag. Evelyn removed a thin notebook from her bag. I joined North Star 6 weeks ago. Before my first day, I requested every unresolved operational risk file from the previous administration. Daniel said nothing. Several were marked closed without corrective action. One involved a payment system rollout 18 months ago. His eyes shifted. The report named a contractor assigned to transaction integrity and deployment testing. She looked at him. Daniel Reed. Emily turned. Daniel stared at the vending machine. Mia looked up. You worked here? Not in this store. For North Star? For a company North Star hired. Evelyn continued. The official record says your contract was terminated for insubordination, unauthorized access to production data, and delaying a scheduled software release. Each phrase sounded clean. Daniel rubbed his thumb over the receipt. That is what they wrote. What happened? He looked at Mia, then away. The update failed 3 reconciliation tests. Evelyn waited. It duplicated void requests when terminals lost contact with the server. It also changed some pending adjustments into cache events. The same thing that happened today. A version of it. Why was it released? The region had a deadline. Someone wanted it counted before the quarter closed. And you refused? I refused to sign the validation. Evelyn turned a page. The record says, you accessed restricted logs after permission was revoked. He revoked permission after the first failed test. Did you access them? Yes. Mia looked at him. Daniel answered plainly. I used test credentials already assigned to me. I checked whether the failure had reached the live environment. Had it? Yes. Did you copy customer data? No. Change records? No. Delay the release? I asked them to delay it. That is not the same answer. Daniel met her eyes. My refusal delayed sign-off 9 hours. They deployed without it the next morning. The room went quiet. Evelyn closed the notebook halfway. Who authorized your termination? Victor Lang. Emily lowered her name tag to the table. Evelyn did not call Victor guilty. She did not promise Daniel a job. She did not offer to restore his record before seeing evidence. I can open an independent review, legal internal audit, and an external systems examiner. Your testimony would be evidence, not the conclusion. Daniel nodded once slowly. I need your original notes, dates, and correspondence. I have some. You may have to explain the access issue under oath. I understand. And you may not like every finding. I do not need to like it. What do you need? Daniel looked at Emily's unsigned form. No retaliation. For you, for her, for anyone who speaks. No lost shifts, bad references, quiet transfers, or schedule changes that force people to quit. Emily looked at him. Evelyn wrote it down. I can order interim protections. I cannot promise no one will break them. Then document every attempt. I will. Mia traced the North Star logo on the receipt. If he found the problem, why did the paper say he was the problem? Daniel lowered his eyes. Evelyn looked toward the disciplinary form beyond the window because sometimes a record protects the decision that created it. She opened the notebook. Will you participate? Daniel looked at Mia, then Emily. Yes, Evelyn nodded. Then we begin with Lane 6. By 9 the next morning, Lane 6 was sealed. A red evidence strip crossed the drawer. The terminal remained powered on but disconnected. Evelyn did not place Daniel on payroll. She brought him in as a paid technical witness, 1 day at a time under outside counsel. No title, the attorney said. No authority. No access without an auditor present, Daniel signed. That works. The team included North Star's Deputy General Counsel, 2 internal auditors, and a systems examiner from a firm unconnected to Victor's region. Their first request was narrow, every variance alert from Emily's store during the previous 12 months. There were 84. Daniel sorted them by event type, voids, returns, price corrections, then by employee, then by time. A pattern appeared before lunch. The alerts followed cancelled or refunded transactions. They appeared during network delays. And they landed disproportionately on employees with less than 6 months of service. Emily stood behind the glass wall. New people, she said. New people and the lowest paid people, Daniel replied. One auditor looked up. Income is not in the transaction file. It is in scheduling. They matched the rosters. Part-time cashiers, students, single parents, workers least likely to challenge a supervisor. At 1:40 p.m., legal began calling former employees. The first remembered nothing. The second hung up. The third asked whether North Star planned to return the $76 she had paid herself. You reimbursed the store? My manager said the shortage would become theft if I did not. Who was the manager? Marcus Hale. Another former cashier had paid $41. Another had paid $112. One had borrowed from her sister before the evening deposit closed. No police report had been filed. No final audit had confirmed the losses. The money had still been collected. Several had signed repayment forms before their registers were physically counted. None had legal help. That afternoon, Emily opened her phone. I kept these because I thought I was being paranoid. The messages were from Marcus. Sign before close. Resolve locally. Do not escalate incomplete numbers. One message had been sent 22 minutes before the final report showed no shortage. Another warned that refusing to sign meant failure to cooperate. Evelyn read each message, then placed the phone down. This is not only a software defect. The defect creates uncertainty, the examiner said. Evelyn looked through the glass at the sealed register. Management turned uncertainty into leverage. By the second day, the team expanded the request to 23 stores using the same software version. Different store numbers, different managers, the same yellow pending codes. Daniel built a timeline. Alert first, accusation second, synchronizations later. In more than half the cases, the system cleared or reduced the variance after the employee had signed responsibility. The audit director leaned back. They closed personnel cases before closing the transactions. No one corrected him. By evening, the team had identified 37 employees who had paid money, lost shifts, resigned, or received negative references after unresolved alerts. Emily knew 9 names. At 8:15 p.m., Daniel requested the original risk report from his deployment. North Star's archive produced 91 pages. He found the appendix list. Appendix A, test environment. Appendix B, reconciliation failures. Appendix C, live sync risk analysis. Appendix C was missing. The next page jumped directly to executive approval. Evelyn checked the digital index. The archive showed a replacement upload 3 days after Daniel's termination. Who uploaded it? The auditor opened the history. The user field contained a service account. Daniel leaned closer. That account could only be used from the regional office network. Victor's office? His floor. The examiner compared file signatures. The first report predated Daniel's dismissal. The stored version had been generated later, same title, different file hash. The report had not lost an appendix, it had been replaced. Evelyn looked at the 37 names on the board. A faulty system could explain the warnings. It could not explain the pressure, the payments, or the altered record. Preserve both versions. The auditor nodded. Daniel stared at the empty line where Appendix C should have been. Someone had removed the evidence after removing him. The remaining question was why. On the third morning, the systems examiner confirmed what Daniel had suspected. The software defect was real. When a terminal lost contact during a void return or price correction, it could send the request twice. One record closed locally, the other waited in the synchronization queue. That created false shortages. It did not create stolen money. No customer receives cash from a pending record, the examiner said. The amount exists only on the reporting screen. Daniel looked at the adjustment history. Unless someone completes it manually, he filtered the pending records by final action. Most disappeared when synchronization finished. Some did not. 17 had been reopened later through a supervisor console and converted into completed cash refunds. The auditor checked the permissions. Marcus had access at store level. Victor's regional office had access across every store in the district. Emily stood beside the whiteboard, arms folded. So the system made a mistake, and they turned the mistake into money. Daniel nodded. The refunds were issued against unregistered gift cards, then drained through small purchases and balance transfers. $20, $45, $60, never enough to attract automatic review. Together they passed $90,000. Marcus's credentials appeared often, but some transactions occurred while he was away. Others came from stores he had never managed. The regional office appeared in the access logs again and again. He could not do this alone, Daniel said. Emily pushed back from the table. He threatened people. He took their money. Why is he still working? Because suspicion is not the final report, Evelyn said. We have his login. We have activity under his login. That was enough for him to call me a thief. Evelyn's face did not change. That is exactly why it cannot be enough for us. Emily looked at Daniel. He understood her anger. It had lived in him for 18 months. Marcus should face what he did, he said. But first, we separate what we know from what we believe. He never gave me that chance. No. Daniel placed the altered risk report beside the refund log. That is what damaged both of us. A conclusion came first. The evidence was forced to follow. Emily looked away. Daniel lowered his voice. Justice is not changing who gets accused. It is changing how truth gets decided. The room stayed quiet. Then the outside attorney pointed to one row. A supervisor account had approved refunds in 3 stores on the same night. The username belonged to Aaron Pike, a systems coordinator who had left North Star 11 months earlier. His account should be disabled, the attorney said. It is, the examiner replied. Then how was it used? They traced the network address, regional headquarters, Victor's building. Evelyn called corporate security. Lock the account, preserve the device logs. Do not alert the regional office. The examiner began the remote lock. A progress bar moved across his screen. 20%. 40. Then stopped. The cursor froze. A red line appeared in the event window. Remote session active. Someone else is connected, he said. Rows began vanishing. Refund approvals, login histories, device addresses. The auditor stood. Disconnect the regional gateway. If we cut it now, we may lose the live trace. Another row disappeared. Then 10. The examiner opened a forensic capture. Copy first, block second. Evelyn called security again. No one leaves Victor's floor. The capture reached 12%. A folder labeled Archived Adjustments emptied itself. Emily moved toward the screen, then stopped because there was nothing she could touch. Daniel watched the deletion sequence. It was not random. The person on the other end knew exactly which logs mattered. Start with the authentication table, he said. The examiner changed priority. The screen flashed. Account token revoked. For half a second, the deletion stopped. Then a second administrator session appeared. Different username. Same regional network. They were ready, Daniel said. The room seemed to hold its breath together. The capture reached 19%. The deletion continued. The technical team stopped the deletion 6 minutes later. They saved part of the authentication table, 12 refund records, and an incomplete device trace. The rest was gone. The examiner leaned back. We preserved enough to prove remote deletion occurred, not enough to prove who ordered it. Evelyn looked at Daniel. He had not moved from the screen. There may be another copy, he said. The attorney turned. Where? Daniel took a breath. Before I was terminated, I created an authorized testing archive on a company's security device. Customer then asked. No. Production credentials? No. What exactly? Error structures, version numbers, test results, the reconciliation logs I had already submitted. The attorney opened his notebook. Did you remove the device from North Star property? No. Security collected it with my badge and personal effects. Where is it now? The contractor stored terminated employee property off-site. If they followed policy, the device was sealed with the rest. Emily looked at him. You knew this whole time? I knew it existed. I did not know whether anyone kept it. Evelyn reached for the phone, then stopped. She looked at counsel. What authority do we need? The device belonged to North Star, but the container also held Daniel's property. Opening it carelessly could damage the review. Legal contacted the contractor. Internal audit documented the request. Daniel signed consent covering his personal property. The examiner requested custody through a written preservation order. By the next morning, an evidence case arrived with 2 unbroken seals. Daniel recognized his handwriting on the inventory label. The examiner photographed everything before opening it. Inside were a security key, a notebook, 3 pens, and a coffee mug wrapped in Daniel's final paycheck stub. Mia's photograph was still taped beneath the mug. Daniel turned it face down. The security device required 2 keys. North Star held one. Daniel's old test credential provided the other. The archive opened at 10:14 a.m. No customer names, no card numbers, no purchase histories. Only test environments, error codes, software builds, and reports. The first file showed the duplicate synchronization failure. Date 18 months earlier. Status unresolved. The second showed Daniel's written warning, do not deploy until reconciliation tests pass. The third was an email from Victor, release must proceed before quarterly certification. Operational exceptions can be managed locally. Evelyn read it twice. Victor's bonus schedule showed why the date mattered. Deployment on time triggered a regional performance award. Delay cancelled it. The amount was $80,000. Daniel said nothing. The next file contained Appendix C. It listed the exact risk seen at Lane 6. Pending adjustments could be misclassified as cash losses. Manual supervisor completion could convert them into real refunds. Employee-level reports could assign responsibility before synchronization ended. 3 warnings, 3 opportunities to stop. The executive report contained none of them. A later permissions memo showed Victor approving broader manual refund access for regional managers after deployment. The auditor looked toward the recovered gift card records. He did not only hide the weakness, he widened access to it, Daniel said. By afternoon, the team connected the gift card balances to a cluster of online accounts. Several used different names. The recovery phone numbers matched. 2 belonged to Marcus's brother-in-law. 1 belonged to a company registered at Marcus's home address. Emily covered her mouth. Evelyn remained still. This supports fraud, counsel said. It does not yet establish Victor's involvement in the withdrawals, but it establishes motive to alter the report, the auditor replied. And knowledge of the defect, Daniel said. At 4:30 p.m., Emily called a former cashier named Rosa Martinez. Her file said she resigned after repeated shortages. She told a different story. Marcus had demanded $93 from her paycheck. Rosa refused. 2 days later, her schedule disappeared. She still had photographs of the unsigned repayment form and messages from Marcus. "Will you speak to the investigators?" Emily asked. Rosa was silent. Then she said, "Only if my name stays private until I have a lawyer." Legal agreed. Rosa sent the files at 7:06 p.m. The first interview was scheduled. At 7:19, Rosa's phone lit up. Unknown number. The message contained her former address, her custody hearing date, and the name of her son's school. Below them was one sentence, "Withdraw your statement, or everyone sees the rest." Rosa called Emily at 7:24. "I cannot do this." Her voice was low. A television played somewhere behind her. "They know about my custody hearing. They know my son's school." Emily looked at Daniel. Rosa continued before either could answer. "If my ex gets those records, he will say I bring danger around my child. I cannot lose him over a grocery store." "No one is asking you to decide tonight," Daniel said. "I already decided. Remove my name." He did not tell her to be brave. He did not say the truth would protect her. The truth had not protected him. "We conceal your identity," he said. "Outside counsel can take your statement. North Star can pay for independent representation. Your interview can remain confidential unless a court requires disclosure. And if someone leaks it again, then the leak becomes evidence too. That does not keep my son safe." "No," Daniel said. "It does not." Rosa went quiet. He gave her the number for a lawyer unaffiliated with North Star and told her she could withdraw before signing anything. He explained that the lawyer, not the company, would decide what protected her interests. Transportation could be arranged without using her address. Her son's school could be notified through counsel without revealing the investigation. Nothing was presented as a guarantee. Only choices. Emily's phone vibrated. A message from Marcus. "Keep cooperating and no retailer in this district will hire you again." A second message followed. "References travel faster than facts." She showed Daniel. Mia was coloring at the far end of the room. She had heard enough. Why do people telling the truth have to be more scared than people lying? Daniel looked at the 3 phones on the table. Rosa's name had been shared with only 6 people: legal, audit, corporate security, Evelyn, and Victor's office, because regional records had to be preserved. The threat came too fast, he said. Emily lowered her phone. Someone knew before Rosa decided. Daniel nodded. Not someone outside, someone on the list. By midnight, the team prepared 3 versions of Rosa's interview plan. Legal was told she would appear by video Friday. Corporate security was told she would submit a written statement Monday. Victor's office was told she would meet investigators in person Saturday morning. Each version contained a different location. At 8:10 the next day, Emily received another message from Marcus. Bringing Rosa to the airport hotel will not save either of you. The airport hotel appeared only in the versions sent to Victor's executive assistant. Evelyn read the message once. Preserve the delivery logs. Corporate security reviewed the assistant's calls. 3 minutes after receiving the plan, she had called Marcus. 7 minutes later, Marcus had searched Rosa's employee file. The assistant denied discussing the witness. The call record did not. Marcus called Evelyn before noon. I want counsel. You have that right. I also want a cooperation agreement. You do not have that right. He breathed into the phone. Victor is saying I created the refunds. All of them. Some. Emily looked away. Marcus continued. He told me to close shortages locally. He said the system would hide the adjustments once synchronization cleared. Why cooperate now? Daniel asked. Because he is erasing me with the same system. No regret, only fear. Marcus surrendered recorded calls, approval histories, and messages directing him to convert unresolved shortages into local refund corrections. One call carried Victor's voice. Close it at store level. Do not let payroll or audit see the variance. Another instructed Marcus to collect repayment forms before final synchronization. By evening, legal had Rosa's sealed statement, Marcus's records, the recovered archive, the leak evidence, and the remote deletion trace. Enough to question everyone. Enough to stop calling each discovery an isolated mistake. Evelyn signed one document. A formal confrontation was scheduled. The board objected before the meeting began. Daniel was a former contractor. He had an employment dispute. He had lost income after North Star terminated him. He is not neutral, one director said. Evelyn did not overrule them. Then test his work. Daniel received a conflict of interest form that ran 12 pages. He listed the missed wages, the rejected applications, and every contact he had made with North Star since his dismissal. No hidden grievance, no secret payment, no promise of employment. The outside examiner reviewed his methods separately from the fraud evidence. The board also required an interview with legal and a separate review of every calculation he planned to present publicly. Daniel was given a transaction set from another region, one unrelated to Marcus Victor, or Lane 6. He had 48 hours to rebuild the sequence. That night, Mia ate beans at the kitchen table while Daniel worked beside her. Their apartment heater clicked twice and stopped. Mia wore her repaired gloves until Daniel found the space heater. "You can use my treasure pencil," she said. He looked at the purple pencil beside her homework. "Certified?" "Mostly." He used it to mark timestamps. After Mia fell asleep, Daniel spread printed logs across the table. He followed every void, return, server delay, and manual adjustment. At 1:13 a.m., he reached a conclusion. A cashier had issued 2 refunds. He wrote it down. Then he stopped. The second refund showed the cashier's login, but the terminal identifier belonged to customer service. Daniel checked the shift record. The cashier had already clocked out. He crossed out his first conclusion. The login had been reused by a supervisor. The next morning, he reported both findings. "You made an error," the examiner said. "Yes." "Why should that increase our confidence?" "It should not. The correction should." He showed the original note, the conflicting device record, and the reason he changed his conclusion. He had not hidden the mistake. He had tested it. The examiner moved to the next question. How did you handle data 18 months ago? Daniel explained the security device, the authorization chain, and why he preserved test outputs without copying customer records. What would you do differently? Document the verbal orders sooner. Request outside review before deployment. Refuse access once it was formally revoked. You believe the access revocation was retaliation. I do. Then why comply? Because being right about retaliation does not make every response lawful. The examiner closed the file. 2 days later, the board received the assessment. Daniel's reconstruction was accurate. His chain of custody was complete. His corrected error had been disclosed before submission. His methods met the standard required for the confrontation. Emily found him outside the conference room wearing the same button-down shirt from the missed interview. One cuff had been repaired with dark thread. You passed, she said. I was approved to present. That sounds like passing. It sounds narrower. Evelyn joined them. When this is finished, North Star will need someone in systems risk. Daniel looked at her. I can authorize an appointment. No, Emily turned. Evelyn did not appear offended. Daniel continued, I will apply. I will take the assessment. Someone else should make the hiring recommendation. You have already proved your ability. I proved it in a case where helping you also helped me. You helped before you knew who I was. That opened the door. He touched the folder under his arm. I want my work to be what carries me through it. Emily understood then. He was not refusing opportunity. He was refusing another record built around someone's power instead of his own evidence. Evelyn nodded. Formal application, independent panel, no instruction from me. That works. She handed him an envelope. Inside was not an offer letter. It was an official notice confirming that the board had approved his participation as a technical witness. Date, time, room number. Across the bottom, one sentence appeared in bold. All conclusions must be supported by verified evidence. Daniel folded the notice and placed it beside me as receipt. The door was open. This time he had earned the right to enter. The confrontation began at 9. Victor sat at one end of the conference table. Marcus sat 2 chairs away. Evelyn faced them. Daniel, Emily. Internal audit. Outside counsel filled the other side. Rosa's identity remained sealed. Victor opened a folder. This matter combines deployment irregularities, employee non-compliance, local management decisions, and incomplete historical data. Daniel looked at the timeline. Which one should we start with? Victor ignored him. The software produced inaccurate alerts. That is established. It produced pending alerts, Daniel said. People decided what those alerts meant. Victor continued. Store management acted within available guidance. Emily placed the unsigned repayment form on the table. This was the guidance. Victor glanced at it. That is a local document. Daniel advanced the timeline. 11 fit event enters the queue. Next slide, 12:0. Emily begins her shift. Next, 5:16. The summary screen labels pending transactions as a shortage. Next, 5:19. Marcus asks Emily to accept responsibility before the draw is counted. That does not connect regional leadership to fraud. Daniel changed the display. 5:31. The raw till report shows no missing cash. Then another record. 3 days later, a supervisor converts a similar pending event into a completed refund. The system permitted it. The system permitted an action. A person chose it. The permissions were designed by technical teams. The regional office requested broader access. Daniel displayed Victor's approval memo. That memo addressed operational efficiency. It removed a second review. There were complaints about delay. There were warnings about fraud. Daniel displayed Appendix C. Victor's voice hardened. That document was never part of the final report. It was removed from the final report, By whom? The replacement upload came from your office network. That does not mean me. No, Daniel said. It means your office. That is why we kept investigating. The speakerphone clicked. Rose's lawyer spoke first. My client will answer limited questions. Rose's voice followed. Marcus told me to pay $93 before the closing report finished. When I refused, my schedule disappeared. Victor turned toward Marcus. You handled personnel locally. Marcus looked up. You told me to close shortages locally, not by threatening employees. You told me not to let payroll or audit see them. Do you have proof? Marcus placed a recorder on the table. Outside counsel pressed play. Victor's voice filled the room. Close it at store level. Do not let payroll or audit see the variance. The recording ended. Victor did not move. That statement is being stripped of context. Marcus pushed approval histories forward. Gift card refunds. Supervisor overrides. Regional approvals. Victor looked at Daniel. You were terminated for unauthorized access. Now you accuse the people who dismissed you. Daniel nodded. Victor seized the answer. Then you admit bias. I admit emotion. Daniel pointed to the records. The timestamps do not need you to trust my emotion. The file hashes do not need you to trust my memory. The calls do not need you to like me. Victor's jaw tightened. Daniel moved to the final slide. The software created warnings. Marcus turned warnings into accusations. Regional leadership kept refund powers without independent review. The report replaced after deployment failed. He looked at Victor. The system did not choose Emily. Then at Marcus. You did. The room went still. You chose her because she was young, hourly, and easy to threaten. You expected the form to speak louder than she could. Victor stood. This presentation is advocacy, not analysis. The audit director opened his report. The transaction chain is verified. Outside counsel opened hers. The retaliation evidence is corroborated. The systems examiner spoke last. The altered archive and manual refund activity are authentic. Evelyn did not pronounce guilt. She looked to legal. Recommended action? Immediate suspension of Victor Lang and Marcus Hale. Revoke access. Preserve devices. Refer the fraud and witness tampering evidence to law enforcement. Evelyn nodded. Proceed. Corporate security entered. Victor's laptop locked before he could touch it. Marcus closed his eyes. The meeting was over. The investigation was not. Victor's access was revoked before noon. By the end of the week, North Star terminated his employment and delivered the preserved records to state investigators. His title disappeared first. The investigation followed. Marcus was fired for participating in false refunds, coercing repayment forms, and threatening witnesses. His cooperation was documented, but it did not erase what he had done. Victor's assistant was suspended after the call logs confirmed the leak. Her case was separated from the fraud inquiry and reviewed for retaliation and privacy violations. Not every manager received the same punishment. Some had followed a flawed procedure without taking money, altering records, or threatening employees. They were removed from disciplinary authority until they completed retraining. Responsibility was measured, not assumed. 2 weeks later, Emily returned to Lane 6. Her accusation had been removed from every employment file. North Star paid the wages she lost during suspension and issued a written correction to the store team. Marcus's form was shredded only after legal scanned it into the evidence archive. Emily watched the paper disappear into the machine. Then she clipped her name tag back onto her shirt. Evelyn offered her a place in a management training program. You do not owe the company a yes, Evelyn said. Emily looked at the register. I want to learn how decisions get made, then apply. She did. Former employees began receiving letters. Some opened them at kitchen tables. Some called because they assumed the checks were scams. North Star reimbursed every documented repayment connected to unresolved synchronization alerts. Negative references were frozen and reviewed. Lost shifts were reconstructed from schedules and payroll records. Rosa received $93 plus lost wages. She did not celebrate. She put the check into an account for her son. The company adopted a new rule across every store: verify before blame. No discipline before synchronization completed. No employee repayment for an unverified shortage. No manual refund without 2 independent approvals. Every variance had to show 3 records: terminal activity, physical draw count, and server status. A warning was not a verdict anymore. 3 weeks after the confrontation, Daniel received an envelope. He waited until Mia finished homework before opening it. The letter corrected his contractor record. The termination findings were unsupported. His access had remained within the testing assignment in effect at the time. His refusal to validate the release had been consistent with documented risk procedures. Daniel read the page. Mia watched his face. Do they know now? He folded the letter along its crease. They know that you told the truth. Yes. She nodded, as if that settled something the adults had made unnecessarily complicated. Daniel completed the formal hiring process. No private appointment, no executive exception. He submitted an application, completed the assessment, met an independent panel, and disclosed his claim against North Star. One interviewer asked why he wanted to return to a company that had failed him. Because the system is changing, Daniel said, and because changing it requires people who remember what the old one cost. The panel recommended him unanimously. His new title was Systems Risk Specialist, not Vice President, not Executive Advisor. A real job with defined authority, health insurance, and a salary that covered rent without counting coins in the grocery aisle. On his first payday, Daniel bought ground beef. He still checked the price. Mia dropped a coupon into the cart. Treasure rules, she said. Treasure rules. Their life did not become perfect. The heat still clicked. The car still needed brakes. Daniel still packed lunch instead of buying it. But overdue notices stopped collecting beside the refrigerator. Mia's shoes were replaced before the soles separated. Dinner became a choice instead of an equation. At North Star, every new manager received the Lane 6 case during training. The lesson did not use Daniel's kindness as the evidence. It used the timestamps. Kindness had made him stop. Evidence had made the company listen. And the next time a warning appeared, someone had to verify it before a person paid the price. 6 months later, winter returned to the city. The same wind pressed against the glass doors of North Star Market. The same heaters clicked. Daniel and Mia came in carrying a canvas shopping bag and a sheet of coupons. Mia's shoes were new. Daniel still checked every price. "Why do we need the coupon if we can afford it now?" she asked. "Because paying more on purpose is not a financial plan. That sounds like a dad sentence. It is certified." She placed the coupon beside the pasta. Daniel did not return the ground beef. He checked the sell-by date, compared the weight, and put it in the cart. Mia added clementines. He looked at her. "They are on the list. And the map, and the map." Lane 6 was open. Emily stood behind it, wearing a Navy supervisor badge. She had completed the training program 3 weeks earlier and still worked 1 register. "You came back," she said. "We needed treasure," Mia replied. Emily scanned the pasta, beans, milk, ground beef, and clementines. The total stayed well below what Daniel had planned. He handed over the coupons anyway. Behind them, a woman in a grey wool coat waited with bread and tea. No one looked at her twice. At lane 7, a warning tone sounded. A young cashier froze. Her name tag read Lena. The screen turned yellow. Register variance 243.18. Lena hand went to her apron pocket. "I did not take anything." Emily stopped scanning. She did not ask Lena to empty her pockets. She did not call security. She walked to lane 7 and turned the customer display away from the line. "Do not apologize yet," she said. Lena stared at her. "But it says the system has a question." Emily closed the lane temporarily and placed a small sign on the belt. Then she checked the draw count. She checked the terminal time. She checked the server status. 3 records, no accusation, no form, no audience. Daniel watched. Emily called support. "Pending synchronization on a void and 2 price corrections," she said. "Please confirm before final variance." The support technician answered. "Queue is delayed 4 minutes." "Do not close the session." Emily looked at Lena. "Your draw matches." Lena's shoulders lowered. The warning remained on the screen, but it no longer controlled the room. Mia took the receipt from lane 6 and walked over. She held it toward Lena. Sometimes a little piece of paper helps grown-ups remember to check. Lena smiled, though her eyes were wet. Emily accepted the receipt and compared its time to the terminal. "Your customer's void is in the same queue." 2 minutes later, the alert cleared. No missing cash, no stolen money, no employee blamed. The woman in the grey coat stepped forward with her bread and tea. Emily recognized her. "Good afternoon, Ms. Brooks." Evelyn shook her head. "Today I am a customer." Emily scanned the bread. The price was wrong. She corrected it without asking who Evelyn was. Evelyn paid and joined Daniel near the carts. "How is the new position?" she asked. "Busy? Good. Busy? Useful busy." Daniel showed her a printed incident report from his folder. The new rule worked, but the warning still displayed the full amount before synchronization completed. So the process improved before the software did. Yes, that is not enough. No. They watched Mia help Emily stack the empty baskets. Evelyn folded her receipt. "I have wondered about something." Daniel waited. "You were already late for your interview that day. You did not know Emily. You did not know me. Why did you stay?" Daniel looked at lane 6, at the paper in Mia's hand, at the screen where the warning had disappeared. "I did not know Emily," he said. "I knew what it felt like to let a wrong record decide your whole life." Evelyn nodded once. No gratitude speech followed. No promise. They returned to the report. At lane 7, the same warning tone sounded again. The same number appeared. This time, Lena did not reach for her pockets. Emily checked the timestamp. She checked the queue. She placed one finger over the final command. Then she pressed verify. What stayed with me most was not the title, the job, or the reward. It was the moment someone chose to stop, look again, and protect a person before judging them. Too often, people are blamed because they have less power, fewer connections, or no one willing to speak for them. But one careful question can change everything. One honest voice can interrupt an unfair decision. And sometimes kindness is not a grand gesture. Sometimes it is simply refusing to walk away. Have you ever been blamed for something you did not do, or witnessed someone being treated unfairly? Share your story in the comments. Your experience may help another person feel less alone. And tell us where you are watching from. We would love to know how far this story has traveled. For more stories about courage, dignity, and the quiet choices that change lives, subscribe to the channel and join us for the next one. Thank you for watching, and thank you for staying until the end.